Welcome to the Bell Dividends channel, where I will speak to you about personal finance and about dividend investing. The first line is basically a reminder for myself that I'm using this YouTube channel as a way to train my speaking skills. And one thing, for example, is that I need to be talking slowly because otherwise I would rush my voice. Also a reminder that it's only for educational purpose, not personal financial advice. Whatever you take from what I say in here, you have always to do your own research and see for yourself how something might be applicable to your own personal situation. And today I want to talk about consumer credits. The article is in Dutch, it's from Belgium. But basically the article as a whole was talking about the rise of consumer credit, which is on the rise in Belgium. It's on the rise, I would guess, almost everywhere in the Western and the developed world. Most from what I see online is based on America, the United States, but it's also on the rise in Belgium. And actually but the article started with a case study, well, a real life case study from a person. They named her Caroline, but it's an anonymous name, so it's not a real name. It's just the name they gave her for the article to guarantee anonymity. And I'm just going to translate what her story is. Then I will give my reflections to it, and in the next slide I will also give a link for people who want to check the article itself. So the article starts to saying that 250,000 Belgian people did not succeed in repaying a loan for private consumption in the past year, and it's the strongest increase since 2021. And of course that these people with consumer credit, so this is not about a mortgage for buying a house, it's more about consumer credit. There's a lot of a bad reputation that people feel ashamed. And there is also, as Caroline in this article says, yes, people have the image that people who get into this kind of debt or cannot repay this debt, they've made a series of irresponsible choices, irresponsible decisions. But she's saying that when she came into the situation 3 years ago, that she basically was forced to take these decisions. She did not have any liberty to do so. And well, let's just go with her story. So it started with a car accident, and it required a cost of 4,000 euros in repairs, which she could not pay for immediately. And so she went on a credit with the car repair. She had to repay it in a year's time. But what happened after that is that a few other stuff happened. For one, they were doing a renovation in their house, and the costs were rising above expectations. Their washing machine went broke, went caduc, and also the laptop, the computer of their son also went caduc. So they also had to finance the washing machine and had to finance the laptop, so they had no choice but to pay it on credit. They were able to have 0% interest rates, but still they had to do it on. They were forced to do it on credit, on financing it. So all by all, they had to pay 1,000 euros per month for repaying the entirety of the finance credit. And what then happened is that the man, the husband of this family, lost his job, which means in Belgium, yes, you go to unemployment benefits, or maybe in this case even sick leave, because he lost his job because of an injury in the spine, an injury in the back. But it's still a lowered income, and that's when all the trouble started. And in the end, this couple could be saved because they were no longer capable of paying all their debts. They get reminders, they got late fees. I think they're willing late fees. Yes, in total they pay 1,300 euros in reminder fees. And in the end, they were able to confess their situation to one of their parents, and then their parents took care of their debts, and now they're coming in a relaxed space, rent-free, are now able to repay the debts to their parents. Now, what I disagree with what happened here is that she portrays it as yes, but I did not have a choice. She wants to portray it as, we did not make any bad decisions. I was forced to make bad decisions. What she was saying is basically at tough luck, bad luck. And I will agree that it is a series of things happening, one of the other. You had the washing machine, you had the car that needs to be repaired, you had the washing machine that needs to be replaced. You had the laptop that needs to be replaced. You had the renovation costs that from which the cost increased higher than expected, than planned. And you had the husband who lost his job, and so they had to go to a lower income. So it's a bundle of things that went wrong. I agree with that part. However, I do not agree in full that it's just all bad luck, in the sense that she clearly had no savings at all, or a very low amount of savings. And I think she doesn't understand what risk she was in. Practically all financial advisors in personal finance, they will advise you to, as a simple rule of thumb, to keep 3 to 6 months worth of your personal income on the side as a reserve, as backup. And well, clearly she didn't do this. I suppose there were a bit two people. I suppose usually both people work. Maybe the woman only half time, but usually both people work. Both people have some kind of an income. I think that the cost of 4,000 euros to repair a car, and then to replace a washing machine and a laptop for your son, so I would suppose it does not need to be a high-end laptop. All of this could have been easily paid for directly if you had 3 months of your personal income as backup in an emergency fund. So I think this person never realized what kind of risk she was in by having no savings at all. I think in this sense that starting a renovation while having no savings at all was actually a very risky thing to do. It was basically a small gamble, a trip to the casino. The next year nothing will go wrong, and apparently stuff went wrong. So there was no backup, there was no savings. Also the stuff like renovation cost going over the budgeted cost. That is something that happens a lot with everything from in renovation, construction. From what I heard, that it's very often that it ends up costing more than initially budgeted for, that initially people have indicated to you that it will cost. So that's not an unheard thing of, that actually happens more often. And what a lot of successful people financially will also do is they will plan for stuff like this. They will plan that a car might need repair, or even one day, or maybe needs even to be replaced fully. So they will, the 3 to 6 months from your income, it's like a simple rule of thumb. Because if you go really advanced into it, then on the one hand you have people saying it's actually 3 to 6 months of your basic default cost, which is something else than 3 to 6 months of your income. We have some people saying actually I would go for 12 months to be very sure. That's on the high end. And I think when you go to more to the details of advanced, I would also say it also depends on your liabilities. Do you own a car? Then you'll know that one day you'll need to repair, fix, or replace this car. So people will start saving beforehand for the eventual replacement of the car. Do you have a laptop without which you cannot live? Do we have a washing machine without which you cannot live? Do we have a mobile phone without which you cannot live? People who are a bit more wise will also save up because for their eventual replacements, calculating in at some point I will need to replace this. Housing costs, renovation, the roof that needs to be repaired. Actually, from what I know, in Belgium, the roof that needs to be renovated, it's a classical thing that happens often. So people who are a bit more wise with their money will take this into account, will save beforehand for that. Also, the more kids, the more children you have, also the more risk that can happen, because there's costs with children. In this case, there is at least one child. So these are all elements that increase your liabilities, and which basically mean that you need to have a larger emergency fund. If you do not have a lot of liabilities, if you do not use a car, for example, and you do not need to replace your car, that's something else. That's already a small part of emergency fund that can be lowered. So, and in this sense, I think Caroline and her husband were very, very risky, because they did not have an emergency fund, and they did not calculate for the fact that a bunch of this stuff could go wrong. Because you can be sure that all of this stuff will go wrong at some point, and the only bad stuff is that it all happened all at once. That's the only thing where they had bad luck, but actually this is something that is capable, and they had clearly not a single backup money for these kind of emergencies. Now this is the link, take a screenshot if you want to look it for yourself. It's of course in Dutch. And then to finalize this video, just like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And just a reminder that this is educational, personal only. It's not personal financial advice. Everything that you take here as educational, apply it to your own life where it is applicable to your own life. Always do your own thinking, your own due diligence. And I'll see you later for the next one.